You see their names on buildings, you use their banks, and you connect to their networks every single day. But who are the families that really own the Philippines? They're the architects of the modern economy, the hands that have quietly shaped the nation for centuries. What if I told you that the story of the country's economy is really the story of just a handful of families? Today, we're counting down the 10 richest old money dynasties that have defined the Philippines for generations, and we'll uncover how their vast empires continue to wield immense, almost invisible power. These aren't your typical social media billionaires. This is old money, families whose fortunes are woven into the very fabric of the nation with roots stretching back to the Spanish colonial era. Their influence is a legacy passed down through generations in a complex web of strategic marriages, political power, and corporate dominance that touches nearly every part of Filipino life. From the electricity in your home to the malls you shop in, their footprint is everywhere, often hidden in plain sight. So today, we pull back the curtain. We're exploring not just their wealth, but the stories and strategies that keep them at the top. This is the story of the dynasties that built, and in many ways, still rule the Philippines. Number 10. The Villar family. Kicking off our list at number 10 is a family that blurs the line between old and new money, but whose power has become so entrenched they simply can't be ignored. The Villar family. While their rise to billionaire status is more recent than others here, their story is a masterclass in turning commercial success into a political dynasty. The patriarch, Manny Villar Jr., famously started in the 1970s with a small loan, which he transformed into a sand and gravel business. That humble beginning was the seed that grew into Vistaland, one of the biggest home builders in the Philippines. The Villar Empire is built on the dream of Filipino home ownership. Their companies, Vistaland and Golden Bria, are behind the sprawling subdivisions and memorial parks you see all over the country. Their commercial arm, Vista Malls, has also expanded aggressively, creating a retail footprint that goes head-to-head with the other giants on this list. But the family's real genius lies in mixing business with politics. Manny Villar served as a congressman, Speaker of the House, and Senate President, while his wife, Cynthia, and son, Mark, have also held powerful seats in the Senate and Cabinet. This has created a powerful feedback loop where business and policy can align, giving them a huge advantage. They've even moved into critical sectors like water and power, showing just how far their influence now reaches. While their legacy is still being written, the Villars represent a new blueprint for dynastic power. They've shown how to build a fortune from scratch and then lock it in with political influence, creating a cycle of wealth and power that feeds itself. They may not have the centuries-long history of an Ayala, but in just a few decades, the Villars have built a nation within a nation, making them a force to be reckoned with for generations to come. Number 9. The Rufino family. At number 9, we have a family whose influence is etched into the skyline of Manila, the Rufino family. While they might not be a household name like some others, their legacy is monumental, built on real estate, banking, and a deep appreciation for the arts. The Rufino story begins in the early 20th century, a time of huge change for the Philippines, and they were pioneers who saw the potential of a rapidly modernizing Manila. Their most visible legacy was once in cinema. The Rufinos were the kings of movie theaters, building iconic venues that became cultural landmarks. But their real power came from strategic real estate investments. They were bankers and property moguls who understood the value of location. One of their smartest moves was partnering with the Ayala family to develop the Ayala Rufino Tower, a skyscraper that still stands as a testament to their foresight. That single building symbolizes their key role in shaping Makati, the country's premier financial district. Today, the Rufino family's influence continues quietly through their holdings in real estate and finance. They've kept a lower public profile than other dynasties, preferring to manage their wealth with discretion. Their power isn't just in assets, but in connections built over a century of business deals and alliances. They represent a more traditional kind of old money, one that values stability over aggressive expansion. Their legacy is twofold. They helped build the physical landscape of Manila's business hub, and they shaped the city's cultural life. The Rufinos prove that a family doesn't need to be in every business sector to be powerful. Dominating a niche with smart partnerships can secure a dynasty's influence for 100 years. Number 8. The Madrigal family. Coming in at number 8 is a family whose name is synonymous with high society and immense, though often quietly managed, wealth. The Madrigal family story is a classic example of how business success can launch a powerful political dynasty. The patriarch, Vincent Madrigal, was a self-made tycoon in the early 1900s who built an empire spanning shipping, cement, and textiles. He was a visionary who understood that in the Philippines, economic power and political influence are two sides of the same coin. The Madrigal business empire was once one of the most powerful in the country, but what really set them apart was their early and successful jump into politics. Vincent Madrigal himself became a senator, and this tradition was carried on by his granddaughter, Jambi Madrigal, who also served as a senator. This deep political involvement gave the family a unique kind of influence, allowing them to shape national policy while protecting their business interests. Their wealth wasn't just in their companies, it was in their access to power. In recent years, the Madrigal family's influence has spread out among various heirs. While their original conglomerate is no longer intact, the family's wealth is still substantial, mostly held in real estate and investments. The legacy of Consuelo Chito Madrigal, one of Vincent's daughters, is especially noteworthy. She was a brilliant businesswoman and a formidable society figure who managed and grew her share of the inheritance, becoming a billionaire in her own right. The Madrigal family's lasting legacy is proof of the powerful synergy between commerce and politics. They practically wrote the playbook on how a business family could turn its economic might into real political power, creating a dynasty that has influenced Filipino society from the inside out for over a century.
Number 7. The Tuason family. At number 7, we find one of the oldest and most discreet landowning dynasties in the Philippines, the Tuason family. Their wealth isn't in flashy corporations or publicly traded companies, but in the very ground beneath millions of Filipinos' feet. The family story starts in the 1700s with Son Tua, a prosperous Chinese immigrant who converted to Catholicism and took the name Don Antonio Tuason. For his service and loyalty, the Spanish crown granted him a massive tract of land, a reward that would become the foundation of a fortune spanning centuries. That land grant, once just farmland, is now some of the most valuable real estate in Metro Manila, covering significant portions of major districts. The Tuasons were, in essence, the original landlords of the capital. As Manila grew from a colonial outpost into a bustling metropolis, the value of their land skyrocketed. Their business model was simple but incredibly effective. Hold on to the land and let development do the work. The family's power grew not from building businesses, but from owning the land on which businesses were built. This makes their power unique. It's less visible than a brand like SM or Ayala, but it's arguably more fundamental. Today, the Tuason family's influence continues through their huge real estate assets. While many of their original land holdings have been sold or developed, they remain major players in the property sector. Their wealth is managed quietly through various family branches, allowing them to preserve their fortune without attracting too much attention. Their legacy is a reminder that in a country with a growing population and limited space, land is the ultimate currency. The Tuasons show how ancestral land, when managed shrewdly, can create one of the most enduring forms of old money. Number 6. The Ortigas family. Coming in at number 6 is a family whose name is literally a landmark, the Ortigas family. If you've ever been to Ortigas Center, the bustling business district that rivals Makati, you've been on their land. The story of the Ortigas family is all about strategic foresight and the power of real estate. It began in the 1920s when the family, led by Don Francisco Faco Ortigas Sr., started acquiring a huge 4,000-hectare estate called the Hacienda de Mandaleon. Back then, it was considered remote and undeveloped. What seemed like a risky purchase of rural land was actually a visionary investment. The Ortigas family patiently held on to that massive tract of land as Metro Manila expanded eastward. Then, they masterfully developed it, transforming empty fields into a premier hub for commerce, retail, and living. That single area, Ortigas Center, is now home to corporate headquarters, massive malls like SM Megamall, luxury condos, and the Asian Development Bank. The family's wealth wasn't just acquired, it was cultivated from the soil of their own estate. In a savvy move, the Ortigas family has recently shifted from being the sole developer to partnering with the country's new money titans. They forged landmark alliances with families like the Cs of SM and the Gokongoys of Robinsons, ensuring their relevance and injecting new capital into their projects. This willingness to collaborate rather than just compete is a hallmark of smart old money, securing their legacy for the next generation. The lasting legacy of the Ortigas family is the creation of a city within a city. They didn't just build buildings, they built an entire economic ecosystem, proving that owning one massive, well-located piece of land can create a dynasty as powerful as any industrial conglomerate. All right, we're halfway through our list and the stories only get more incredible from here. If you're enjoying this look into the forces that shape the Philippine economy, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. It helps our channel grow and make sure you won't miss our future videos. Now, let's get back to the countdown. Number 5. The Lopez family of Iloilo. At number 5, we have a family that has dominated two of the most critical sectors of modern life, energy and media. This is the Lopez family of Iloilo. Their influence radiates from the power outlets in millions of homes and flickers across the television screens that have shaped Filipino culture for decades. The Lopez dynasty started in the 19th century in the sugar-rich province of Iloilo, but it was their bold leap from being provincial agricultural barons to national industrial titans that cemented their power. The family's biggest move came in the 1960s, when Eugenio Lopez Sr. acquired Meralco, the Manila Electric Company. That single purchase gave them control over the power supply to the nation's capital, making them essential to the country's economy. At the same time, they built a media empire, which would eventually become the ABC-CBN Corporation. This dual dominance in power and media gave the Lopez family an incredible level of influence over both the economy and public opinion. They could literally keep the lights on and, through their media arm, tell the nation's stories. The family's journey hasn't always been smooth. They faced huge challenges during the martial law era, but managed to reclaim and rebuild their empire in the decades that followed. Today, the Lopez family continues to be a major force through their holdings in the energy sector, and while their media dominance has been challenged, their control over key parts of the country's power infrastructure remains a cornerstone of their wealth. The legacy of the Lopez family is their successful reinvention. They understood that the future of power lay not just in land, but in electricity and information. Number 4. The Abutis family. Breaking into our top 4 is a family that exemplifies the power of diversification and long-term vision, the Abutis family. Originally from the Basque region of Spain, this clan settled in Cebu in the late 1800s and methodically built an empire that's now one of the largest in the Philippines. Their story began with trading abaca fiber, and from that humble start, they built a conglomerate that spans the most critical sectors of the economy. The Abutis Empire is a powerhouse. Their key business, Abutis Power, is one of the country's largest energy producers. They are, in many ways, the ones who power the nation's growth. But their influence doesn't stop there. Through Union Bank, they are major players in banking. Their real estate arm, Abutis Land, develops properties, while their company Pilmico is a significant force in the food industry. This diversification is their greatest strength. By not putting all their eggs in one basket, they've built a resilient empire that can weather economic storms. What really makes the Abutis family remarkable is their professional approach. They have a well-defined family constitution that governs how family members can be involved in the company, ensuring that leadership is based on merit, not just bloodline. This has allowed them to successfully pass leadership through 5 generations, a feat very few family businesses ever achieve. Their legacy is a modern, professional, and highly diversified conglomerate that's deeply integrated into the nation's core industries. The Aboitiz family proves that old money can be incredibly dynamic and forward-thinking.
Number 3. The Nchusti family. At number 3, we take a step back in time to talk about a family whose direct corporate presence has faded, but whose historical influence is so profound they can be considered the godfathers of Philippine industry, the Nchusti family. You won't find their name on a modern skyscraper, but their impact is immeasurable because they laid the groundwork for many of the dynasties on this list. The Basque family established Nchusti and Compañía in the mid-1800s. This wasn't just a company, it was the original Philippine conglomerate. Their interests were incredibly diverse for their time. They owned steamships, a sugar mill, a distillery that produced the now famous Tanduay rum, and even founded the first insurance company in the country. Most importantly, they were instrumental in creating the first Bank of the Philippine Islands, a cornerstone of the nation's financial system to this day. They were involved in nearly every significant industry of the 19th and early 20th centuries. The family eventually sold off many of their businesses in the 1930s. So why are they so high on this list? Because their legacy lives on through the powerful clans they nurtured. The Nchusti bloodline and business DNA flowed into families like the Zobel de Ayalas, creating a web of alliances that continues to dominate Philippine business. They provided the capital, connections, and business models that other families perfected. Their legacy is that of the ultimate incubator. The Nchusti story is a powerful lesson that sometimes the greatest influence isn't in what you own today, but in what you helped build. Number 2. The Roxas family. Coming in at number 2 is a family whose name carries the weight of immense wealth and a formidable political legacy, the Roxas family. Descended from one of the country's oldest clans, their story is a potent mix of high finance and high office. Their commercial roots trace back to 1834, but their modern power is often linked to one of the biggest conglomerates in the Philippines, San Miguel Corporation. Now, while there aren't the sole owners, the Roxas family has historically held significant influence in the corporate world, including with giants like San Miguel, a company whose products are in almost every Filipino household. In recent decades, control of San Miguel has been more directly associated with families like the Cujancos, but the Roxas clan's historical ties to the country's corporate bedrock give them a level of economic clout that few can match. But the Roxas family's power isn't just in the boardroom. They are a political dynasty of the highest order. The family has produced senators and even presidential candidates, most notably Ma Roxas, who has served in multiple cabinet positions. This deep involvement in national politics gives them a powerful platform to influence policy. This dual influence in the corporate world and in the political world makes them one of the most powerful families in the nation. The Roxas family embodies the fusion of corporate might and political dynasty, a combination that has kept them at the top of Philippine society for generations. Number 1. The Zobel de Ayala family. And now at number 1, we arrive at the family that is the undisputed archetype of old money in the Philippines, a dynasty so powerful and so deeply embedded in the nation's history that their story is, in many ways, the story of the Philippine economy itself. The Zobel de Ayala family. Their influence isn't just about wealth, it's about a legacy of nation-building and innovation that has spanned nearly 2 centuries. The family's empire began in 1834 with a small distillery. From that, they built what would become Ayala Corporation, the oldest and most respected conglomerate in the Philippines. Ayala Corporation is a titan. Their real estate arm, Ayala Land, developed Makati, the country's premier financial district, as well as Bonifacio Global City. If you've ever worked in a high-rise office in Makati or shopped at Greenbelt, you've been inside the Ayala Empire. Their influence extends to banking through the Bank of the Philippine Islands and to telecommunications with Globe Telecom.
What truly sets the Zobel de Ayalas apart is their forward-thinking vision. They have successfully managed their vast fortune across 7 generations, a remarkable feat. Their business philosophy is often described as patient capital, focusing on projects that may take decades to mature but ultimately contribute to the nation's development. This is why their name is associated not just with profit, but with progress. The lasting legacy of the Zobel de Ayala family is that of the master builders. They didn't just accumulate wealth, they used it to build the cities, industries, and institutions that define the modern Philippines. They are more than just a rich family. They are a dynasty that has shaped the nation's economy, its skyline, and its future for nearly 200 years. From the land-based fortunes of the Tucsons to the industrial might of the Lopezes and the nation-building legacy of the Zobel de Ayalas, a clear picture emerges. This isn't just wealth, it's structural power, built over generations and woven into the foundations of the country's economy. These families weren't just lucky inheritors, they were strategic visionaries who saw the future and invested in it, whether it was in land, electricity, or telecommunications. They built their empire through a combination of bold entrepreneurship, strategic alliances, and deep political involvement. Their influence is a testament to the power of playing the long game. Their names are on the buildings that scrape the sky, but their true influence is far deeper, embedded in the very infrastructure that keeps the country moving. They are a permanent elite whose story is inseparable from the story of the Philippines itself. But what do you think? Which of these families do you believe has the most influence in the daily lives of Filipinos? And are there any other powerful dynasties that you think should have been on this list? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. And if you found this fascinating, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the forces that shape our world. Thanks for watching.